Hey guys, sorry I had to meet with you this way. This assignment that we're working on right now, 4-1 matrices, we've already gone over. I'm just going to go over it again because I have a number of people who haven't taken the quiz. So I'm going to go through a couple different videos here, just walking through what we already know. If you've already got this down, great. Go ahead and move on to the quick poll assignment, finish that up, and then do the quiz and finish that up. And you're all set for this particular assignment. We'll be working on matrice multiplication next. So you'll want to look for those videos coming up pretty soon. Okay, in the meantime, we're going to start off with just what a matrice is. A matrice is just a set of numbers in a table. So what we're looking at doing is just putting a matrice bracket around these numbers. So as you can see, we just put a bracket here and a bracket there, and all the numbers just fit right into place. And they're just doing one of those jobs right there. So we're just going to put brackets around it in order to make that matrice. And what I want to talk about now is how we identify how many rows and columns we always have. When you discuss the dimensions of a matrix, you always have rows coming first, and then you say by columns. All right, so row by columns. How many rows do we have? Rows are going to be a horizontal thing, whereas columns are like columns in the White House building. You know what I mean? If you look at some of that Greek culture and Greek buildings and things like that, columns are going up and down, whereas rows are horizontal. So what I want you to recognize is the fact that if I have a point, X comes first and Y comes second, X is definitely a horizontal thing and Y is definitely a vertical thing. And so matrices work the same way. Our rows, we have two rows and we have three columns. Excuse me. So this is what's known as a 2 by 3 matrix. And those are the dimensions of the matrix. So one of the questions on your quiz is just going to be, what's the dimensions of a matrix? And you would tell me 2x3. This does not mean 2 times 3. You're not going to give me an answer of 6. That would be bad news. Don't do that. But we're looking at the dimensions 2, 3 for that particular one. And then we move on to what's called elements. Each of these numbers within a matrix is an element. So this number right here is an element. This number right here is an element. And each element has an address. And the address is just going to be what row and column it's going to be in. Now remember, rows always come first and columns come second. So this number right here, 16.206, is an element in the matrix. The matrix is a capital A, so we're calling it matrix A. And the address of 16.206 is going to be a lowercase a with a 2 and a 1, which is referring to row 2 and column number 1. So that if I had this same matrix, if I wanted to know what number is at A, let's run with A13, then that would be talking about the first row and the third column. It's not A13, it's A13. Now, some of you guys already know this, I get that, but I'm covering this for the students I did not have in class. If I'm in row 1, I'm looking at here, right? And then if I'm in column 3, I'm looking right here. So row 1 and column 3 would tell us that A13 is going to be 17.318. All right. If I wanted to know what A22 was, that would be second row, second column. All right. I would be in the second row and the second column, which would be that number right there, 16.606 would be A22. All right. Sounds like a winner. Let's go ahead and try another one. If we look at these, first of all, we're going to create a matrix. It says display the data in a matrix form. We're just going to put brackets around it. So over here, I'm going to rewrite the matrix. And they're wanting us to call it matrix C. So I'm going to say that matrix C equals 0.48, 0.05, 0.72, 0.0075. We'll put a bracket over here, and we'll put the other ones in. And the last one. All right, and that would be me redrawing the matrix. They want to know what are the dimensions of this matrix. Remember, it always goes rows first, by column next. So if I'm doing the dimensions, I have 1, 2, 3 rows, and I have 1, 2 columns. So the dimensions of matrix C are going to be a 3 by 2 matrix. If we move on, the next question is asking us, what's the entry at C12? So if we want to do this one, we would go to row 1, column 2, and we're talking about C12 is going to be 0.72. Once again, that's not C12, it's C row 1, column 2. So in row 1, I'm here. In column 2, I would be at 0.72. And what does it represent? If we're going to answer that question, they're talking about the total cost of paper. So if you notice, and my smartboard keeps screwing up, if you notice, we're in the paper column underneath total cost. So this would be the total cost of paper is what that number represents. Apparently it's 72 cents. It says, what's almost there. There we go. The next question is asking us, what is the address of entry 0.05? So I'll see if my smartboard will let me scroll back up. And 0.05 is occurring in the second row, first column. So the address of 0.05 would be C, I already forgot. Second row, first column. So it'd be C21. Second row, first column. All right, and that's how that works. If I were to ask you a trick question and say, what's the address? Here, I'll do it in a different color. What's the address for 0.0075? A number of you would tell me that it's going to be C31, right? And you wouldn't entirely be wrong. C row 3, column 1 is correct, but it's also going to be C22 because it's showing up in the second row and the second column as well. And so 0.0075 has two different elements that happens twice. So the first address would be C31, the second address would be C22. Really, there is no first and second. It's happening both places. So both those answers would be the answers for the element of that. All right, we'll go ahead and move on with another video for the next question. Go. Yeah, we'll do that. Go team.